Welcome, cartographers. This is a tutorial on how to draw map scales. So you've done plenty of work on how to read map scales, and this is how to draw map scale using your room. So I have a basic piece of graph paper here. Sorry to show that it is a small piece of graph paper, but we're going to pretend that this is your basic room, whether it be a dining room or a bedroom, whatever it might be. We have a basic rectangle, and we're going to work from there. So first things first, I'm going to draw the shape of the whole room around there, and I'll try to put that in a different color. So the advantage of doing this digitally is this, but that's about the only advantage of it, unfortunately. So once you put that over, it destroys the whole thing. But this is the area, this is the size of the room. So we don't need that. So the first thing we want to take a look at is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We have 15 boxes up on the top. Now we could count going on the long end too, but this is all we need to know is the short side. So we have 15 going this way. Now these are called boxes, sure, but each of these little lines, segments that make up a box, we can call those a grid. So when we talk about a grid, that's what we're just talking about one of these little lines over here. So first thing over here, I'm going to make a text box so that we can see what we can work with. And let's change this size of the font, make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So we have 15 grids going across, and that's the short side. Now the other part is what you want to do is you want to take a measuring tape or measuring stick or a ruler, some way to measure, and you can use inches or centimeters. Most people like to use inches. And then if you measure across the shortest side or the shortest wall in your room, most people like to measure using feet. Well, there's 12 inches in a foot. For our purposes, it's going to be a lot easier if you use the inches. So if something measures 5 feet, that is the same thing as 60 inches. Or we reverse it the other way. Whoops, let's spell it correctly. 60 inches because it's 5 times 12. So we don't need to know that right now, but if I measured this entire wall over here and I came out with, let's say, 168 inches. So I'm going to measure 168 inches. Now, I have 15 grids going across, and I have 168 inches. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take 168 inches, and I'm going to divide that by the number of grids that I have going across, which is 15. And when I divide those, you can use any calculator will do it. And when I use my calculator here on my phone, I take 168 divided by 15, and it comes out to 11.2. Well, that's a nice almost round number there, but that 2/10, I'm going to ignore that, and I'm going to go ahead and round it off to the nearest inch just to make this a little bit easier to go with. If I was being truly accurate as a cartographer, I might get down to a tenth of an inch, but I don't need to know that. You might also get a measurement on your calculator that looks something like this, where you have a lot of decimal places afterwards. You want to round up to the nearest inch or round down, which I know that you are able to do in fifth grade. So we're going to round down to 11 and 2/10 down to 11 inches. So what that means is one grid is the same thing as 11 inches. And that's going to be where I get my scale. So I'm over here on the map, I'm going to pretend that I have a space down here that I can draw this in. Let's make that a little bit bigger. So I'm going to write in here scale. I'll make that a different color so you can see it a little bit easier. Let's make that a little bit bigger for us here. There we go. So my scale that I'm going to use to measure on my map, I need to put underneath that one grid or one box you can have any way you put it, is worth the same thing as 11 inches. Now you're writing this, and it could be anywhere on your map. So it could be the top or the bottom. So what that means is this little line up here is 11 inches. This would be 22 inches, 33, 44, 55, 66. Each of these little lines is worth 11 inches. When I go down, this is 11 inches. This is another 11 inches. This is 11. So each of those lines is the same thing as 11 inches. So now let's get to where I have to put in my bed. So now that I know that I have a scale, I'm going to remember this. So every 11 inches is one grid. So when I measure my bed and it comes out to be 6.5 feet, great. So let's do a little quick math over here, and we'll draw this in. So I'm going to measure my bed. Oops, we got a little small there. There we go. Now we can actually see it. So my bed, it turns out, is 6.5 feet, 6.5 feet. Oops. Now, 6.5 feet, how do I get that into inches? So I take 6.5 times 12. And we do that on the calculator, or you can do it on paper. It doesn't matter what it might be. Anyway, you get it. 6.5 times 12 is 78. Now, what I've done is you have to remember, I've gone from feet down to inches. So that's 78 inches. All right, so we're going to need a bed that is 78 inches long. Well, I can take a drawing over here, my shape, and I'm going to start up here because my bed is in the corner. So that's 11 feet, or 11 feet, 11 inches. 22, 33, 44, 55, 66. That's 77. Now I need 78, so it's just a hair a little bit over that, and that's perfectly fine. Now I don't know how the short end of my bed is, so I have to measure the short end of my bed and do the same thing. So I have to go down 11 inches, 22 inches, probably about three grids or 33 inches, and then I have a box for my bed. So this I will label up here, and I've put in my bed, but I have to measure all the sides of my furniture. But I'm using my scale down below to figure out how to draw my bed within the room. Because if I make this bed this large, it's a nice cozy bed in the room, but that is a huge bed. I just went from something that's a little over 6 feet to almost 12 feet big. I doubt your bed is anywhere near that large. So as long as it's close, the measurement of your furniture, the measurement of your room, as long as your scale matches what you're putting up here, then you're going to be safe. So that's a quick tutorial. So again, we took the number of grids, we measured the side of the actual wall. So we came up with 15 grids across. 168 inches was the actual wall. Divided the two, inches divided by grids, we came up with 11 inches per grid. So that's where we got it from. This has been a map scale tutorial. Please use it. And then again, you can always have parents help you to figure out the scale if you need it. And you can also ask Ms. Cahill. She might even give you some extra credit for figuring out some map scale along the way, depending on your map class. Have a great time, cartographers, and see me if you have any questions.